It's a Saturday, and I think it's it's not July, it's June the 26th. Mark Topping, welcome. Good to talk to you again.
John Noble, good to talk to you as well. How are you keeping? What are you up to?
What am I up to, Mark? Well, my goodness, I'm just I'm going to start running on the beach runs with the guys in Badminton Ireland for the month of July. That's my plan. It's been difficult in June with all the COVID. So, I think it's time just to start to really get the pre-season badminton training in now. I'm sniffing tournaments coming down the track soon, and I want to be ready like you just to pull the trigger. Does that sound good, Mark?
Oh, John, that sounds like a great plan. Pre-season training. Oh, I remember that. That was tough, those beach runs. What about a few hill runs? Maybe you should do a few hill runs, John. That'll be even tougher.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think so. I mean, I think I'll mix that in, Mark. I like the idea of torture. Sounds good, yeah. Cruelty to badminton players. Why not? It's a cruel game at times. What about you, Mark? Are you taking it? Are you doing the hill climbing stuff and the yoga?
Yeah, absolutely. The yoga is the foundation of everything. I do that every single day, John, and then that allows me, keeps me very mobile and keeps the joints fluid, and that means I can go out training, do some badminton or do whatever training I want to do. So that's. I can't highly recommend it enough. Yoga, I just discovered it about 4 years ago, John, and I just find it so good for you.
Well, if our listeners to the Badminton Talk podcast today, sponsored by a great shuttle that is actually starting to circulate called the Q Shuttle, Mark, have seen you lately in any of the badminton courts, you're looking very fit, I must say. You definitely have you. Would you say you've put on more muscle, or how has your training gone over the last year? Are you happy with where you are now? Because I know, and I know we'll get on to Georgina Ward in a second. You are training for the big competition, the Masters, the big one at the end of the year in Spain.
That's right, John. That is my goal. Let's hope that we're allowed to travel to Spain. It's in the first week of December. It's the World Championships Masters. So we have the 35 plus, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65 and 70 plus World Championships. So I'll certainly be putting my name forward for the 55 plus. So yeah, have been doing a lot of work, John, to try and get in good shape for the World Championships. That's only less than 6 months away. It's nearly 5 months away. So yeah, got to keep working on it.
God, I thought there for a second you're going to say you're getting ready for 75 plus. I was going to say you look very well for that. 55.
Steady, John, steady.
Steady she goes. Yeah. Well, steady as she goes. We are, of course, steady back with the Badminton Talk podcast with part 2 of a fascinating interview with Georgina Ward, who many of our listeners will know Georgina over the years. She's been through the junior ranks in Irish badminton. Mark, she features great at the Badminton Premier League, doesn't she? They roll her out for the mixed when they want that point. That's the Georgina Ward. Handles pressure really well. Would that be correct?
Well, yeah, people can see that when they come and watch the Badminton Premier League. I hope the Badminton Premier League will get restarted again this year. Such a good format, and it brings in a good crowd. It's tremendous as a player to play in front of a crowd. So it's a real two-way process. The players feed off the crowd, and the crowd seem to appreciate what the players are doing. And yes, Georgina is very experienced, very adept at handling that pressure. Often this comes down to 4-all, and certainly Nigel and Georgina in previous seasons for Mount Pleasant were very reliable.
Yeah, it sounds to me, Mark, that you're going to be scouting around like you do too in the next while. And I think David Murphy and Betty and Jean and all the guys in Whitehall Road and Baldoyle, they'll be excited to try and get Badminton Premier League back. Do you think it'll happen this side of Christmas? Or do you think it's more going to be a 22 kickoff, Mark, with I mean, it's good to see the courts open. Like yourself, I've been up playing there and around, and it's brilliant. But, you know, it's still singles, and I love singles, but I think doubles has to roll out. But what's your take on it, Mark? Someone who usually is knows what's happening.
Yeah, to be honest, I really don't know, John. I haven't really got any tip-offs or any idea. I think there's a fair chance that I think we're going to have a normal season. I think everything will start back on the 1st of September. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that the vaccination program keeps rolling out and the number of cases keep going down. I'm optimistic. I think the season could roll out quite normally. And therefore, why wouldn't the Badminton Premier League come back? It does. There's a great set of volunteers on the Badminton Premier League committee that make it happen. So it's we got to thank them hugely for the amount of work that goes into that, because that really does promote badminton so well.
And Mark, the guidance from the federation is there's two kind of seasons. There's a September to December. That's our kind of shortened 21 year, the kind of year we got robbed of 8 months out of our 7 months. And there will be a shortened number of provisionals and, you know, the usual nationals, and there will be the national seniors and an Irish Open, which is exciting. I'm excited about that. And then it'll all start again January 1st for the next year. So it's kind of exciting, isn't it, Mark, to have kind of 2 seasons in, what do we add, 12 months, and from September onwards in about 16, 18 months we have 2 seasons, yeah?
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be quite intense, I suppose, John. Yeah, I'd say the tournaments are going to come thick and fast. The provincial tournaments. I love travelling down to the Munster Open, the Connacht Open, Leinster Open, Ulster Open. Tremendous tournaments, those provincials, and. I did see, although I didn't go into too much detail, but I did notice that Badminton Ireland released a calendar about 2 weeks ago, which is available on the Badminton Ireland website. So encourage everybody to go and check out the tournament plan or the tournament schedule for the next 12 months. I haven't got into much detail myself, but I will do.
Yeah, no, that is great. And I know, I get excited when you hear Badminton Ireland are doing some trials. It's the under-17s trials is on Saturday week. So by the time this podcast is airing, the trials will be starting today, we can say, Mark, for the under-17s out in the National Indoor Arena. I'm not sure if it's twinned with another age category. It could be, but that's going to be exciting, isn't it, Mark?
Yeah, I think I would say a lot of people are dying to get back to some sort of competitive play.
Yeah.
I'd say a lot of people have been training hard and working hard, and you need that competitive side as well to keep you motivated, to keep you training.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Everybody needs a target, and I think a lot of the Irish players, the last tournament they had was March 2020, which is a long time ago. Anyway, Mark, shall we go back to our interview with Georgina Ward, and we'll just go back to exactly where we left off last week. Are we ready?
Absolutely. Let's go for John.
Okay, I'm going to press a button here, and again, I want to thank the Q Shuttle for sponsoring this and all our Badminton Talk podcasts. So back to Georgina Ward. Let's just click this button. So there, when you mentioned about the injury, so many players actually have stopped and had to finish their careers because of injuries, leg operations, shoulder operations. Badminton is tough. It's pretty tough at that competitive level on your body, and then factor in, as you said, I think, some of the early days courts were hard tiled courts, and athletes didn't wear proper runners, and if you put them together, you see they had to have operations, and even as in their late 40s, early 50s, way too early for such.
Yeah, well, that's it. You kind of, if you can get it looked after straight away, get it looked after. If it's something that you don't realise until it builds up over time.
Yeah.
But the main thing is that you do the recovery that you're asked to do.
Yeah.
You know, and that increases your chances of getting back to somewhere near where you were. You know, obviously you're always going to have to work on your fitness and that, but yeah, I was very lucky that I was able to come back now, and I'm delighted to be back playing.
Yeah, well, that's great, Georgina. So again, we would like to remind all our listeners on the Badminton Talk podcast, we are interviewing today Georgina Ward, who has represented Ireland at junior level and also in the Masters Nations Cup, also plays on the Masters circuit and is a Badminton World Federation coach as well. We'd also like to thank our sponsor, the Q Shuttle. Mark, I think it's over to you now and my clock here says you have 5 more minutes on this part, so there we go. Okay. Over to you.
Well, we'll maybe spend 5 minutes on this question. This is probably a very tough question. It's not a very fair question because you've probably had many influences, but shout out to all of them. But I've said here, who was your biggest influence on your badminton journey? And it's a really tough question, obviously.
That has to go to Tony Robinson.
Very good.
I mean, yeah, like I've known Tony since I was 11 or 12, and he just encouraged me so much. Always said about the etiquette on the badminton court, and you can have your fun as well as the competitiveness. And he saw good potential in me, and worked hard and trained hard, and he's just a lovely person. Yeah. And I still get to see him then when I go to do refresher badminton coaching courses.
He's still there.
Hadn't seen him for years there. Myself and John met him there a couple of years ago.
That's right. Yeah, he was. I think he was telling me he was a school teacher. Georgina, was that right in his day? He was
science and maths. I think
science and maths. Yeah, he is bright boy.
But you can see that in the way he does the tutorial courses.
He's got a great way, hasn't he?
He's a lovely man. He's got a great way of, teaching people.
Yeah.
But I have to say, definitely he had to have been one of the big influences for me.
Yeah. Actually, in fairness, Tony Robinson's been a huge influence on badminton Ireland, the whole of Irish badminton. The number of coaches he's brought through and the number of players he's trained is just phenomenal. I don't know, I think it was Tony. I think he's into movies, and I remember him telling me on one of the coaching courses that he tries to watch one movie a day, which I found fascinating. That was my memory of Tony.
Brilliant.
Yeah, well, long may Tony keep staying in the game of badminton, because we certainly need people like that. Okay, so the next question for George. Okay, so back to Georgina Ward. Well, we're talking to Georgina Ward on the Badminton Talk podcast. Georgina, when were you playing at your best? And can you tell us some of the most enjoyable badminton matches you experienced, if you can remember?
Yeah, I'd say when I was around 16, 17, I was playing some of my best badminton. I felt things were going in the right direction. I was getting fitter, stronger, more shots. I was getting selected on teams, which was great. So when you're having to fight for a spot, you do have to give it all. So I'd say 16, 17, 18 now I was actually playing really, really well. And as for a couple of matches, I've one that goes back now. I can't remember exactly what age group it was under. It was around under 16. It was either under 16 or under 18. Okay. And Ireland were playing against France, and we were in on courts 5 and 6 in Whitehall Road.
Oh yeah, the ice bucket hall. Yeah,
in the fridge. Fridge. So it's always an honour to represent your country, and no matter how many games you get to play, you're there. So our match was going on. It was a very tight match, fantastic games, and myself and Justin Smith were down to play the last mixed. So last match of the night, and it was down to us.
Ooh.
And like no pressure whatsoever, you know. So
Ages 16, 17, yeah, no bother at all.
Yeah, no problem. So up played fantastic badminton. The pair we were playing, I don't even ask me the name, but they fantastic players as well. And it went to 3 sets, and it was really, really close. And we won. We dug deep, and we clinched the match. And I just remember the elation after all of that. I mean, you know, when at that time, when you'd win a match, obviously you'd be delighted and you shake your hands with your partner and your opponents and all the rest, but there would be no hugs or anything like that.
Yeah.
You know, I think myself and Justin were just so delighted. We'd given each other such a big hug that we were chuffed, and then, you know, shook hands with our opponents and all that. It was just, I just remember it was a super moment, and I was delighted that we were able to clinch it.
Well, now I know, Georgina, how you've managed all those badminton Premier League matches. When you come out at the back end of the drawdown, how many tournaments I've seen you come out, and the moment is you and your partner, whoever that is, to perform, and sometimes it goes down to the 3rd set, or the BPL. It could even go down to the 5th set if I can remember right. I can remember the format now. And there you would be, Georgina, as calm, looking on the exterior, certainly as calm, and I'm sure calm as well because you're experienced. And you would do the business. I tell you now I know why. You know, it happens at a younger age. You can dig deep in, and
That's it. You just have to be able to try and, you know, find that bit of calm and, you know, say, right, one point at a time, and just take it from there, you know. But, you know, it is easier said than done, you know.
True, that's true. That is very true.
But you just try your best. And then there was one more match, and it was more recent. It was actually when I went over to the Nations Cup in France for the Masters. So Team Ireland were playing, and it was on the last day, and we were playing our last match against Switzerland to win the group.
Right.
So we wanted to win the group so that for the next competition, then the team came in at a reasonable position.
Oh yeah, it would affect the seeding. Yes.
The competition, yeah. Instead of coming down near the bottom, we wanted to try and at least get in somewhere near the middle. Yeah. So we went out and played the doubles, and I was playing with Jane Orr, and it was a fantastic game. It went to 3 sets, and we were in the 3rd set, and Jane got the ips on her serve.
Oh, golly.
And as we all know as players, it's not ideal, and it can throw you totally, you know? Yeah. So we were just there, and I just said, just hit whatever you can. Just get it over and in, whatever it is. So I didn't have, I had a bad knee at the time, and you just forget about all of that. And as everybody will know, I don't dive. Oh God, I love my body too much. I don't fire myself. So I did kind of a half a dive, let's say.
Have we got that on camera?
No, God, no.
Oh, golly.
The lunge into lying on the floor, you know. And we changed over ends at 11:10 in the 3rd. So we were like going. But the only thing was I had hit my knee hard off the ground, so I was like going, I could barely stand. So I was like going, shake it off, you know, it's no time to be playing on injuries or anything like that. You know, you think of where you are, and you also think of your partner, and you think of your team. We were like going, I said, and Jane has such a smack on the shuttle. And I said, right, Jane, I said, it's my serve. I said, I'll keep serving low. They'll pop it up to you. I said, and you just hammer it. So, lo and behold, that's what we did. If anything came in racket height, I'd try and block it out for her. If it went up to her, she just creamed the shuttle. It was fantastic. So we must have got about 6 points on that. And then it went back over, and then it came back over to us, and I just said, don't think about it, just hit the shuttle. So whatever way her serve went, it went, you know. But we kept going, and I still think it was down to the wire on the final points.
But you won.
We clinched it.
We clinched
and we were
it.
never, you know,
Congrats.
I always laugh,
Right.
you know, I'd be quite an emotional person, you know, and I was so happy. I was starting to cry, and I was like going, oh my God, to school. I just got so emotional. I think it was just the
moment took everything up, and that was what, back in 2018, is it? Was that the Nations Cup, or was it back before then?
21. Yeah, it would have been
2018. Oh my goodness, well, that's a brilliant story, Georgina. My goodness, tonight it's
like
enough.
Say, you know, sometimes you only get a few moments in your life, and sometimes you can get loads.
Yeah, and you have to make the most of them when they do present themselves, as you did. Mark, you have another question for Georgina?
Yeah, no, that's a fabulous story,
isn't it? It's fabulous.
I love stories like that. That's just brilliant. Anyway, I'm going to change the subject to coaching. You're a qualified coach, Georgina. How did you get into coaching? And when did you qualify? And why did you want to go into coaching? And what age were you when you started coaching?
Well, it was Elliot who put it to me you know, that I should go and get my badge to become a coach, you know. So he kind of, you know, I won't say pushed me into it, but he guided me along and found out the details, how I'd go about it and things like that. So I said, yeah, okay, you know. I said, when did I think I was about 20. I'd come back then after having the surgery on my wrist when I qualified. So so I think I was about 20 when I got that. And but I always feel, because I love the game, you know, I don't only love it as you know, a player. I like to actually, you know, part a little bit of knowledge, and hopefully that people, you know, that it'll help them and that they want it. Not everybody wants to hear. You know, they want to just do it their own way, which is fair enough, you know. But I always say, if anyone wants, you know, to hear a little bit of knowledge from me, you know, of what they could do better, or they're doing fantastic on that, you know, and, you know, they could do this to bring them on or whatever. I just felt that I could give them a bit of knowledge and experience, you know, and I love the game, and, you know, I like to see people starting from the beginning and see how much they've improved. I mean, I've had kids who've hardly been able to hit the shuttle, you know, and I've had adults who have been hardly able to hit the shuttle. And it's great just to see little milestones, you know, whether they could never serve and all of a sudden they're having a lovely serve. You know, that makes me feel great. Apart from themselves, I'd be chuffed inside that I can see the little improvement in them, you know. So I just love that, you know. So
yeah, and Georgina, would I be right to say, like, because you know, it's great that you coach, and hopefully when we all get back out onto the courts, you can continue. But your style is rather unique, if I can say this, on coaching, which I think makes it special and exceptionally good for any badminton players who play the game that are listening to this podcast or are thinking of playing the game, and any of those particularly. Just as a big shout out to those in Ireland, you coach in groups. That tends to be your style, Georgina, which is very special and very different. But I think it's extremely attractive.
Yeah, I tend to do more coaching with groups.
Sorry, Georgina, I think your mic just came off, Georgina. Georgina, I think your mic.
Actually ringing in now.
Yeah, no, I could see you there telling us all about the groups, and then I saw your wonderful mic go red. So just repeat the last 5 seconds, if you wouldn't mind. We'll capture that.
Great. Well, over the years, I have coached Leinster squads, and most recently, I've been back doing the Leinster squads as well, and I'm doing national squads as well. I'm under 17 national coach.
Fantastic.
But when I did start off, I was doing clubs. I coached in Dagenham and Foxrock, Rathfarnham Parish, Wicklow Badminton Club. They're just to name but a few.
Brilliant.
And then I did the Special Olympics. So I don't, you know, I don't say I only coach this kind of person and that kind of person. I'm open to whoever wants
Yeah, what was that Special Olympics like, Georgina? That's fantastic.
It's great. I was doing the Special Olympics in Gorey, and it is so fulfilling. It is just fantastic. It's not for everybody, but it did suit me. I got on great with the athletes, and the athletes got on great with me, and just lovely people. So I was coaching in Gorey, and I had been asked to do be the national coach for one of the trips, but I couldn't commit to it because I was playing myself, and I was hoping to go over to France.
Yes.
At the time, and then I also had two of my kids, one doing leaving and one doing the junior cert. So I just said to them, hand on heart, I couldn't give it 100%.
You had your hands full there, absolutely.
I don't like to take on something if I can't give it 100%. So, if I say I'll do something, I'll do it, and I'll give it my all.
Great.
So it just tends to be. Now, I have had a few individuals that I've coached as well, but it just tends to turn out that I mainly get groups. So I don't mind. Once I'm actually passing on a little bit of knowledge, I don't mind at all, and that they're enjoying it and improving.
Great. So look, if anybody wants to, say, reach out to you, Georgina, is it all right they reach out on your social media, on your Facebook page?
Indeed, yeah, that's no problem at all.
Okay, so Georgina Ward, at Georgina Ward on your social media. There is only one Georgina Ward, so you'll know. You'll see something badminton. If not, you can send an email to Mark, and Mark can reach anybody in the globe, I think.
That's it.
Great, Mark. I think it's question 12 to you, so over to you.
It is. Yeah. Georgina, that's brilliant. I love the coaching. I'm just a big fan of coaches. I think coaches can influence so much good stuff in badminton. So keep going. It's brilliant. Anyway, on to question 12. Tell us one thing about yourself that listeners would not know about you.
Good question.
Mark, what you see is what you get with me. Be very, very little they wouldn't know. One thing people may not have known well, except for people who, would have known me back in the day, was about the operation that I had on my wrist, and that I, was touch and go whether I would be able to come back playing.
That was a serious operation.
Yeah, it ended up being quite a bad one, It was like a 3-hour operation on my wrist, and then I was in a cast for about 6 weeks, and I had to have physio for 8 months, and then I had to kind of build it up from there, So I still have little problems with it, but having said that, it's fantastic compared to where it was. Do you know what I mean? And I know how to deal with it, when it starts hurting and things like that, But
was it painful at the time?
It was like I had hurt it at the very start of the quadrangular. So you're talking at the beginning of the weekend, and I played the whole weekend. Now, there was a physio on hand, and they had it up and strapped it up and things like that. So we kept an eye on it. But as time went on, like I was 16 when that happened, and I had to have it operated on when I was 19. And but on the lead up to that, it was getting very, very sore all the time, and then it ended up my hand and my arm were turning blue, but the hospitals couldn't see anything wrong. So I went to a specialist, Mr. Colville, and it turns out that David Borton was his registrar.
Oh yes, that's right. Yeah, I've heard he's...
Yeah, Norman Borton's son.
Yeah.
So he was on the team that actually fixed my wrist. So so it all went well, So
Okay.
I was lucky. I got it done, and the rehab I did as I was supposed to do it. I didn't rush anything. I actually took the time because I wanted to come back playing.
Yeah.
And I did.
Yeah,
well, I'm delighted.
Well, I think there's a lesson to all our listeners there. If you do get an injury, you do have to take your time before you come back to your sport, and make sure you get it looked after by an expert. But I think also, as your body gets a little bit older, you kind of put up with a little bit more. And the best bit of advice I got from some badminton player that was about 20 years older than me when I met him, and he was surprised I was still playing. He just said, never give this game up. Just keep going. It's you'll only realise that when you do finally have to give it up, you'll miss it so much. And I've always had that mantra. So I'm a little like you, Georgina, and maybe Mark. I'm going to play it forever. That's what I keep saying to myself. Now we've got about 9 minutes left, and we've got about 3 more questions we want to pack in today to this Badminton Talk podcast, and we have Georgina Ward, who we are profiling. So, Gina, this is now your opportunity, where you can tell all the viewers listening to this podcast anything about the sport of badminton which frustrates you. There has to be something that could be improved, something you feel strongly about, maybe someone you don't like, maybe anything, Georgina, although I can't think anybody you don't like.
Well, let me think.
Who did you say?
I said, let me think. I'll get back to you on that one, John. There's a couple of things that I would like, with regards to the Masters badminton, because that's where I do most of my playing now, is in the Masters.
Yeah.
And I would love for there to be more training sessions. Now, I know it's difficult because everyone works them, we all live, miles away from each other and all the rest. But, if we could put something in stone, even if it was once a month.
Yeah, brilliant idea.
And just to get training sessions, and with the Masters, we mainly play games. Do you know what I mean? So it's getting your eye in and all that. So that would be lovely. And also
maybe a big shout out to Greg Farrell, because Greg does great things for the Masters. Maybe that's, if Greg is listening, Greg, you might consider maybe putting some more, dotting more schedules on the Masters timetable. That would be fantastic, and I think Georgina at all levels would welcome that suggestion. Sorry, I cut across you again, Georgina. Over to you.
That's all right. Yep. That's all right. And then just another thing, and see, I know it's a time issue because the calendar is quite packed.
Yeah.
But I do feel myself that for we're limited down on how many Irish squads we can get. But when the teams are picked, I would love that for there to be, a few sessions for the team to get some training and practice together, before they play the event that they've been selected for. Because in case there's new partnerships or whatever being put together,
yes,
you could get them have a bit of practice, So they're just a couple of things.
Great suggestions there.
To say, do you know what I mean? And I think it would benefit everybody.
Yep. Mark?
Yeah, those are great ideas and great suggestions. I think we've got to throw it to Badminton Ireland to maybe listen, and maybe they can review and see if they can, as you say, Georgina, the badminton schedule is very busy, but maybe they could find some time and book some extra courts somewhere. Would be good. Really good.
Yeah, and I think I would add to that, Georgina, I think if it was well organised, which I'm sure it could be, I think you'd get a lot of, right from the over 35s, which defines mastership, so whatever age category you are, after that in categories of 5, I think there could be a real big buy-in to that, because, there's a lot of people who've played the game and they like to use badminton not only just for social, but to keep themselves fit, keep the weight down a bit, keep themselves mobile, it's something I think that we would all welcome if we could see that in the calendar. So yeah, brilliant suggestion, Georgina. In terms of something that you said kind of frustrates you, but frustrates you in a positive way.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go on to question 14 because I know we're running out of time.
Yeah.
Can you tell us some funny stories, some of your funniest moments ever on a badminton court, Georgina?
Well, I can't think of one on court, but I can certainly tell you one off the court after a tournament.
We're all listening, Georgina.
Absolutely. Well, it was in the days when underage we had a tournament and it was out in League Flip. Now, myself and my mum travelled down and we had got a banger of a car, so it would get us from A to B, happy days. So off we went down, played the tournament on the first day. That was grand. I played all day long, exhausted, came home. Down again for the next day, played all day long. I was on from the very start to the very end. I was knackered. Anyway, it was a great tournament. I was chuffed with myself, played really well, and we hopped into the car on the way home. Now, I lived in Ballybrack at the time, okay? So we got as far as Rathfarnham, and all of a sudden, the car wasn't agreeing to go home. It started to slow down, and all of a sudden, it conked out. Now, it wasn't because there was no petrol. Before anybody says, did you not think of filling it up? All right? So it conked out. So we were like, oh my God, what are we going to do? So anyway, Mammy was in the car, okay, I said, right, I'll push. Now, bear in mind, I'd had a whole weekend playing badminton, and I had to get out and push the car. So here I am, in Rathfarnham. I was down near the Bottle Tower. There used to be a garage across the road, and it's not there now. So there's a slight hill, and there I am having to push the car up the hill. Well, needless to say, the sweat was pumping out of me. I was nearly on my knees. We got it into the forecourt of the garage, but the garage was closed. It didn't open that late at night. We locked up the car, put out our hand, got a taxi home. I said, the joy of it, something so simple, you know. I said, so there you go. So there's one of my things for coming home from a tournament.
You're probably still in your badminton gear, Georgina, at that time.
Oh God, yeah. I had my little skirt over my tracksuit.
And pushing a car up a hill. I don't know how you did it.
I don't know how I did it myself.
Yeah. Anyway, you live to tell the tale, which means we have one more, hopefully, question to put to Georgina Ward today. And obviously, question number 15 on our notes is, what are your goals for 2021, which is this year? We're almost 2 months in and we're still in COVID, but what is your goal in terms of the badminton world?
Well, I'd like to be at a good stage of fitness. I won't say I'll be the fittest, but at least if I can keep my fitness up there with the way things are going. And I'd love to play some of the international Masters tournaments, you know, and then get my coaching up and running on a more regular basis. That's kind of the plan, you know, to see how it goes. You know, so if I can keep the fitness up there, once I start hitting the shuttle, it should all come together. And then hopefully if I have a partner or two for the international tournament.
That's another shout out to the partners. Yes, we had that earlier on. Okay, I'm sure we're going to see them all jumping into the social media once this badminton talk post airs, Georgina. Of course, you also
messages on Facebook.
Of course, Georgina, you do have the goal of your under 17s. I know that's obviously a goal with the squad as well. Hopefully.
We do indeed. Yeah. If we can get up and running, they have an event coming up in, let me see, September.
Yeah, well, hopefully we're back.
Hopefully, fingers crossed now, you know. So hopefully the government will give us the all clear to start hitting the shuttle soon, and we'll get up and running, and fingers crossed for all the kids out there, for whatever sport, you know, they're doing and whatever age groups they're in, that they can actually start partaking again.
Yeah, well, Georgina, let's try to be optimistic on that last note. We are out of time. Georgina, thank you so much. It's been a brilliant, I'm not sure how long we've been on, it's flown. It's just been fantastic. Mark?
Yeah, I love days like this, just listening and each sharing stories. Absolutely fantastic. Thanks a million, Georgina, for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for asking me on, guys. Thank you.
No, you're a pleasure, and hopefully we will talk to you soon again. So we've come to the end of another Badminton Talk podcast. Yes, we have come to the end of another Badminton Talk podcast with the great Georgina Ward there. Mark, we just have a couple of minutes just to soften the music down a tiny little bit and reflect. What did you make of that interview with Georgina? Thoughts on that? Whoops, the button went very quick there. Well, we'll keep it quiet for just a minute so I can hear your comments, Mark.
Yeah, thank you, John. Yeah, no, Georgina's just brilliant, so positive, and it's why she's a wonderful coach. I've never been coached by Georgina, but I would imagine she's very encouraging, helpful, and to all her students, and highly recommend Georgina as a badminton coach as we come back out of COVID and we start getting back into badminton, John.
Yeah, I can see that Georgina, when she does, and fingers crossed, take the under-17 Irish national squad over to, I think it's Slovenia. Slovenia. Thanks, Mark. You see, you always have the knowledge. That's it. You know, always need to check with you there. You know, Mark always has the knowledge. That she's going to be great motivational person, not only just a good tactician and feeding information to the young players, but she's going to just be great to have her there at the back of a court. What do you think, Mark?
Oh, absolutely. What an encouraging presence. What a positive presence to have at the back of your court. And I wish everybody well in trying to get on that team, the under-17 Irish team that's playing in the European Championships. And all juniors, anybody taking up the sport or giving it a go. I've seen a few good results already. A quick shout out to Michelle Shoshan. I saw she won an English gold event last weekend.
Yeah, let's give a little clap. Come on to Michelle. You're right. Big shout out. Well done, Michelle. You train every day. And your dad and mom take you all around the place. You deserve everything you get. Keep it going. Good one there, Mark. Any other shout outs?
I haven't seen any other shout-outs. I know that our top players did very well in Lithuania recently, and I think there's a group in Spain at the moment doing quite well. I saw Mark Brady and Moya Ryan having a couple of good wins in qualifying at the Spanish International, so that's brilliant news. And obviously Nat was officially selected to go to the Olympics from Team Ireland.
And it's his birthday, he's 21. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
My goodness. And we're in for a treat to watch Nat heading over, and I listened to the news this morning, and it does look like it is going to be big in Japan this year. So we wish him the best of luck. I just wanted to come back to a final thing, because we've only about 2 minutes here. Mark, who are we going to find for Georgina for a partner? I mean, come on. Who do you think? Do we need a German? Do we need a French? Do we need a Chinese? Do we need a Australian? I don't know. Who are we going to get?
Well, all I can say is whoever gets Georgina as the partner, in mixed doubles especially, is very, very lucky. That would be a very good partnership. They should be queuing up. Georgina should have her pick of partners, I would say.
So there's the big shout out from Coach Mark Topping, you know. Be you so lucky. Put your CV through. Yes, put it through. You can put it through the Facebook. You can put it through Mark at my mobile. badmintonshop.ie, I think there'll probably need to be a special trial to make sure that you have the currency. But listen, Mark, we are just about out of time, and we're going to hear this music blasting in, which really means it's almost there. Wow, Mark, 26th of June. What do you do this weekend, Mark?
Oh, I have no real plans. Probably I'll do a couple of 10k walks, John. That's my plan. What about you?
Couple of 10k walks. Well, Mark, I think I'm going to start on much more on the sprinting now. Dan McGee's great sprinting regime, 5, 10, 15, 20 seconds. I'm going to start doing a bit of that now. I'm fed up doing the long stuff, the 5Ks, the 10Ks. I've conquered all that. I've nothing else to prove, you know, so now it's the short stuff. And maybe, Mark, the climbing the mountain bit too. What do you think? 10 seconds.
Oh, John, that is brilliant. Where's the beach run? Is it Portmarnock Beach, or what beach do you go to?
Yeah, Portmarnock Beach on a Saturday. Most Saturdays, unless there's a squad taking place or something. 10 o'clock, meet in the car park there. And come along, go your own pace, you know. You don't have to keep up with, you know, the top guys there, but you'd be one of them, Mark, I'm quite sure as well. So, 10 seconds to go, Portmarnock Beach on a Saturday, yes?
Absolutely. Well, maybe not this Saturday, but anyway, John, I wish you the best.
Maybe one time Mark will surprise us and come out to the beach. That's it, Mark. See you next Saturday. Have a great week.
Bye.